Hey everyone, welcome back to the AMG StarCraft 2 weekend. We are back with the third game, of course, between Stefano and Forge. If you guys have been watching the series, it's so far 1-1 for each of the players. First game, Forge, a little bit of mismanagement there. Didn't have the siege tank, so that sort of made him pay for it. A second game was a very nice game by Forge, counteracting Stefano, and this is the third and final game in this matchup between both of these very good players out there. So let's speed up the game. This is a long game. There's nothing really interesting happening early on in the game. Of course, we do have that drone streaming across the map to do that initial scouting, and probably that second drone should be coming soon for that hatchery. There it is, and there you do have that hatchery. A little bit of harass happening here. Two SCVs, of course. He did try to postpone that second command center from coming up, but not very successful. Of course, he does retreat with that drone back to his base, and he calls it quits. So both the players, you gotta excuse my voice, I do have a little bit of a cold. Both the players are actually building up for their second bases. So both the hatcheries are up and ready. We do have the drone coming in to scout out everything as much as possible as we do have. We do have that switch, so again he's going for that early on Hellion harass, probably countered with do we have that reactor? Yeah, we do have. So again, it's going to be a Hellion reactor build by Forge, which proved to be his actual, you could say, winning hand last game. And we do have that cloak research coming online early on in the game. He is, of course, streaming down. He did try to get in as much as possible to the production line. Yeah, so he is, of course, going down. He is going to be taking out as many of these drones as possible. A lot of harass coming down by Forge. Of course, Stefano with those 6 queens in play. He doesn't want to have the same mistake like he had before. We do have 2 of these Hellions coming in. So he is hopefully going to prove, again, very effective in terms of splitting his units. He does push those drones off the line to try to make as much damage as possible. Unfortunately, he could have had a very nice streak there. Again, very effective in terms of this harass. A lot of these drones are falling, are dropping down by Stefano. I did get mixed up there for a second. I am still a little bit sick, but I will be fine. We have finally those Banshees in play. We do have that Cloak Banshee coming down, so it is going to be finally harassing those drones. More drones are going to be dropped. Finally, that Spore Caller is coming into play, but again, it's going to be a little bit too late. He should do a lot of damage by the time that Spore Caller comes. He did move, of course, those drones off the line. Do we have a second Spore Caller here? No, so it's, of course, he's going to be moving down to that second base push, a second base position, and he's going to be continuing his harass here as he knows that this is going to be happening. So here he comes. Again, he's going to be targeted firing these drones. I don't know why he doesn't continue, though. I do believe his energy is just about to finish, so he probably is going to decloak somewhere here and recharge. Now, here comes that push by Stefano, trying to do a little bit of harass with a few Zerglings, but nothing much he can do against, especially against this many Hellions in play. A lot of barracks coming online, so we do have a 5 racks build by Forge. So Forge is finally switching down to the bio. His early on harass proved very successful. Of course, not going to be very effective as Stefano did counteract, and he is going to be having everything in the actual place as he needs. I don't know why he moved in with one of we do have that Overseer here, so proving very effective. He might need actually to do a little bit of a different strategy here, though. We don't have a second Spore Caller here. I don't know why he just doesn't place a second Spore Caller down there, so as it will prove very effective. And I don't know, he is planning to use these Overseers instead. This is a very interesting strategy for Stefano. We do have 3 Banshees now, and nothing at all happening here, though. That I did miss that. I don't exactly know what I missed. I'm not sure if he did drop maybe that bunker. Maybe he did place a bunker there. Finally, those barracks are up and ready. We do have, this is an intense marine build. We do have 5 barracks, out of which 4 are having reactors, and only 1 is having that tech lab. So he is, of course, going for that Overload. Overload is going to drop, so that's nothing really much, just a little bit of harass by his side. He is going to be able to drop these queens, though. I don't know why he didn't go for it. He could have dropped that queen. He could have dropped that queen very easily, though, with a little bit of micro. He could have dropped that queen, at least one of the queens. He did, of course, heal it up with his secondary queen, dropped a little bit of transfusion, sorry. So will that push finally be coming out? A lot of Hellions being moved here, and he did of course manage to scout that out. He's moving into these Hellions. He's going to of course move back once he spots that. So one of the Banshees did drop, and the second Banshee managed to survive though. He is getting a couple of pot shots off, but nothing much he can do. That third hatchery coming into play. Of course, Bungle did manage to come down and buy the actual Infestors, and proving very, very effective by StarCraft. 18 Marines in play, 2 tanks, finally having those tanks up and early on in the game. But that's pretty much it so far. It is equal for both players. More scans would need to come down to stop the screed from spreading. I don't believe that he is going to be using a scan to drop this Crete so far, but we do have a counter. Hopefully he is going for that Zilnaga Tower, and 4 more Roaches. I did think that he is probably going to be going for that counter, but no, he isn't. A nice spread here in terms of his actual Marine composition, going for that third base as well. So he's going to be chased back by these actual Zerglings. He's trying to kite, but that is going to drop. I was going to say there's no way he can outrun those Zerglings, especially with that metabolic boost and that research for those Zerglings. So far very effective though. Is he going to be moving down though? No, he is going for that second Zilnaga Tower to get that additional scout, and now finally he's going to be moving forward. Tank, is that tank siege tank? No, not yet. He didn't start up with that siege research for those tanks, which is again going to prove a little bit of disadvantageous for him once he realizes that he can't siege up those tanks and drop down that additional damage. Missile turret again is here. That is very good in terms of any air units, or in terms of StarCraft maybe having that burrow research and borrowing his units the moment he moves forward, or sneaking any borrowed units past this point. So that is again a strategy pretty nicely used with the Zerg players. They do get one of these Infestors to crawl all the way behind the actual enemy lines and drop infested Terrans on the actual production line. So this missile turret will prevent that from happening. Of course, StarCraft on his 4th hatchery so far, but that's pretty much it. Let's just look at the actual units lost. We do have 17 to 60. Of course, StarCraft, being a Zerg player, is expected to have more units lost. While resources-wise, it seems Forge is on the bottom end of that happening. We do have a Bailing List happening, so Bailings are going to be coming in. Ultralisks as well. A lot of research is coming in. Maybe we're going to have a little bit of drop here happening. He's going to be, of course, going all the way. Yeah, so we do have a drop happening here. Hopefully he might be able to take out this hatchery. If not, do a little bit of damage, forcing these units to stream across the map to the other base though. But these Zerglings should pretty much have an easy time going across. Is that tank, siege tank, coming online? Yes, siege tank research has been completed. He won't spot this drop coming down by Forge, proving very effective though. He did siege up a little bit too early though. He is moving down, of course. He is trying to stimming up the units. Hopefully his scan will be coming down. Nothing happening here though. Finally that drop did come down, forcing the actual retreat of the actual units. He's going to be loading them up, moving back away. A little bit too little, nothing much he can do. We do have that Bailing List here, so this should prove very effective if he does manage to drop here. No Spore Callers at all, but he does see that that is happening, and of course the Founder did hit it with a fungal, and is going to be moving down a couple of units and preventing that from moving forward. A scan coming down, and of course Forge is on the aggressive end, sieging up, keeping that siege line nice and well defended, moving a couple of tanks forward and re-sieging up again and switching. As always, a couple of units are streaming down to start up that scout out, of course, and move a couple of those units down. So again, a very nice spread by Forge though. Still, we do have a very good composition, very nice fungal placement though. Not enough medevacs to keep those Marines living, but again, he did prove to win that because of his spread with the actual siege tanks, and he should be moving in for the kill now. Really, Forge having a great advantage here. Again, another scan coming down, a little bit of fungal by those Infestors, not really much. He only caught like 4 or 5 units. Stim coming in, he's going to be retreating with those drones. Bailings are morphing in. If he could mop that up as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, he didn't take out any of these drones though, so he's going to be going for a base raid, or he's going to be actually trying to counteract it. No, he's not actually going to be trying to pushing out at this actual position. He might be trying to flank him. We do have 2 of the actual Zerglings streaming across the map, trying to see maybe if he can poke somewhere else, but so far this proves to be on Forge's side. Very, very nice spread by Forge, of course, and this actually might be going for a base raid though, as he is finally moving into those Ultralisks and Zerglings up, so he might actually be going in for the kill. But seeing that the actual majority of the units are coming in for the actual meaty part of StarCraft's base, he's going to be forced to obviously retreat with his actual units though. So he did make a little bit of split. He is going to be maybe going around, trying to come in from the back as well, which will prove to be very effective. Of course, we do have those buy units in the back. We do have a drop with his medevac on the higher ground as well, so he's going to be moving down. And here come those units from the west, and they are going to pretty much spot the south. These tanks are going to be doing a little bit of damage, though it's very laggy now for some odd reason. I don't know why the hell it is so laggy, but these Marines should pretty much mop up that unit. I have no idea what the hell just happened there. It blacked out for some odd reason. Anyways, I did back up just a little bit, and here comes that push again. Let's just fast forward that to where we were. Again, that push was coming in from StarCraft. He will do a very nice pincer movement here, pretty much mop up everything as we did see, and finally we shall continue as where we were. These Marines are going to be dropped up, thrown down on the higher ground. Hopefully, I don't even think so, he might just decide to retreat altogether though, but a very nice, you can say, rescue by StarCraft on his actual units and bases, and actually being able to push back his actual composition. This planetary should pretty much survive, especially with this backup coming in by Forge. So will he siege up though? He needs to siege up. That siege line needs to be there to take care of these ultralifts. Some more bailings coming in, so he's going to be going in for a bailing bust though, even though he did checkpoint them, waypoint them back though. He's still not sure exactly on how to make this happen. He is hopefully trying to push out for this base. So far we do have Forge on 5 bases though, 3, 4, 5, while StarCraft is back on his 4th base. So he's a little bit behind, of course, in base composition. Nothing much he can do. Upgrades 3-3 finally coming down. And finally, those weapon level 1 tech upgrades come down. A little bit of harass here, just being a nuisance and preventing that creep from spreading anymore. It is starting to recede, though, so nothing much he can do. Of course, StarCraft trying to catch up, throwing down a 2nd hatchery directly. So we do have a 2 hatchery early on expand. So he is really trying to catch up by Forge, but Forge, of course, I do believe has a massive advantage here. Again, a missile turret has been placed here to prevent any burrowed units coming down. Maybe air units, though. StarCraft, of course, not going for air at all. We do have no spires, but here comes, not completed yet, though, so he will spot that a little bit late. He will move a couple of units maybe back to take out this burrowed unit, but nothing much he can do so far. Scan coming down, of course, giving that vision to the lower ground. Those siege tanks should pretty much do devastating damage to these ultralisks. The ultralisks are on 5-3 upgrades, while Zerglings are on 3-3, so max upgrades there. That did drop. Stimmed units should pretty much mop this up, but he's not going again for those drones though. Finally, he did make split up those units to try to go for these drones, to try to take as many of these drones out, but not very effective though. But he did drop that hatchery. Again, Forge is going for more and more and more bases. He is very on the aggressive end here. He is expanding and pushing and expanding and pushing. StarCraft is not looking up for StarCraft though. StarCraft really can't do anything. I don't exactly know what StarCraft has in mind to deal with this very aggressive push by Forge. Forge with his level 3 or level 2 still upgrades 10 bailings. He's hopefully trying to come in with a bailing push. He might actually be throwing all his eggs into one basket, but maybe these 10 bailings might do it exactly what he wants, unless these bailings get spotted before they actually come in to the actual line, siege line. So if he managed to sneak those bailings in very quickly, he might actually be able to take out this siege line, which is his Achilles heel. So far he can't really counteract this siege line. Very nicely tucked away. Of course, we did have that drop, again doing a little bit of harass. So I did miss that, unfortunately, on the upper ground. He's going to be continuing that harass, probably going to be loading up. Unfortunately, he had a fungal, so this should pretty much be mopped up. Now he should be able to load up the rest of the units and prevent that damage from happening. He is again going to be going forward in these drones and pushing out from 2 lines, so sieging up on the lower ground, though. Zerglings should pretty much surround these tanks. A little bit of his micro by Forge. Forge is going to pay for that. His tank line is going to go down, and his actual advantage on this side is going to go down, but he did manage to drop this actual base itself. Not really drop the base, but do a lot of damage for the actual drones. So far he did lose his actual, you can say, siege line and build and main push build because of his little bit of miss micro, though. He left his tanks unguarded and they did drop, of course, and that pretty much gave a losing end to the rest of the actual composition. So far the supply for Forge is 194 compared to StarCraft's 161, so he does really have a lot of catching up to it. I don't think he can do much though. Massive expansions here. We do have another 5 barracks, 5 racks thrown on his actual base. This is a massive build. We do have 3, 4, 5. We do have 9. We do have around 14 racks for Forge, and there's no way I don't see Stephano coming up from this as long as he gets those siege tanks up and he gets that nice spread up, and no infestors at all, so he doesn't even have to worry about the spread though, even though he is going to get that surround though. A little bit too late with that siege tank line, got a little bit greedy. He's going to pay for that. This is all going to drop, and Stephano is going to be in the aggressive end, going ultralisk heavy. That's all he is going in for now. Very greedy though by Forge. He's going to try to prevent this from dropping though, but he will do a little bit of damage. He probably even might drop this planetary, which will drop. A little bit of stimmed units are going to be trying to do a little bit of damage. Very nice fungal, of course, by that infestor, preventing those units. No siege tanks at all on the higher ground. So far, again, the tide might turn for Stephano here, but don't see that happening so far. Base-wise, economy-wise, and production-wise, Stephano is on the downside here with those 3-3 upgrades for Marine upgrades for Forge, and though Stephano does have an advantage in terms of upgrades, that's why he might actually have a chance of catching up, though we do have that refinery, so he might be going in for that other base though. So unfortunately he gave away that position by that SCV, but this planetary fortress should pretty much mop that up. Of course, Stephano, noticing that there is a planetary fortress, he is going to be sending those ultralisks to deal with that, and of course Forge, he might be moving in to counteract that. We do have siege tanks on the lower ground, a lot of medevacs though, but not enough marines for all these medevacs though. I do believe that's a massive supply block with this many medevacs though. He needs more marines for this amount of medevacs. Look at the actual resources. He has 1,500. What is he waiting for? Why isn't that production tab maxed out? Because he is at 200 supply, and majority of them are with these medevacs, so there's nothing really much he can do except send in his SCVs to kill themselves. So he has a lot. Let's just take a look at the unit composition. We do have 32 Marauders by 65 Marines and 14 medevacs, so nothing much he can do here though. No tanks at all. We do have only 2 tanks, a little bit too late. And a nice fungal again, surrounded by Stephano. He should drop those tanks again. Very nice counteract by Stephano, but that's pretty much it. There's nothing much he can do. Very heavy bio build with this many medevacs. This is not going to drop, even with a couple of fungals. With this many medevacs, all these bio units are going to be alive. Again, that tank in a way did prove his advantage. He did stop that push from happening, and Stephano is pretty much out of resources on his main 2 bases. His 3rd base is starting just now, but the actual meat of his actual base and infrastructure is going to be dropping very quickly, and Stephano should call it a GG. Well played, very well played game, and this match of course goes to Forge. Well, as always, happy gaming. See you guys in my next week's StarCraft 2 commentary, and enjoy your weekend. Bye.